When a parent drops their child off at college, they expect them to be safe. So to have the then largest shooting in American history occur on a college campus shocked and angered many.
Immediately following the tragedy, people began wondering what went wrong and how safety measures around campus could be improved, preventing a similar incident from happening again. Tech Tonight's Claire Rigney looks at how the university is improving safety.
In the past 10 years, Virginia Tech Police Department has found new and targeted ways to address campus safety concerns. Technology helps the police stay connected to the people they protect. The department has limited potential trespassing through swipe access panels at residence halls, mail rooms, and laboratories. Video cameras, nearly 700 across campus, help police spot anything suspicious.
What we do, and we strongly encourage our community anytime you see somebody who is not obviously an authorized law enforcement officer with a weapon on campus, you call us immediately.
And the VT Alert system notifies students and faculty in case of an emergency.
I can't guarantee your safety 100% of the time. Nobody can do that. So what I can do is, sometimes the best thing I can do is give you as much information as quickly as I know it, good, solid, verifiable information, so that you can make those decisions for your own personal safety and security.
Before Faust began working for VTPD, he worked for the FBI in Roanoke. His team was called to Blacksburg to assist on April 16th investigation.
It's one of the main reasons I'm here today is because of what I saw, the professional law enforcement response that I saw that day, not only from the Virginia Tech Police Department, but from all of law enforcement that responded that day. I have never seen that type of professional response.
Soon after the shooting, Virginia Tech established their own threat assessment team, an interdisciplinary group of 11 members that gives help, whatever's necessary, to those who are in need. After April 16th, the state of Virginia mandated every state institution create a threat assessment team. The team's 11 members stretch across multiple departments with the hope if a student or a community member needs help or wants to help a person who's troubled, they'll be led in the right direction.
Following 2007, one of the things that we were criticized for at Virginia Tech was they felt like there was information available about that individual that was being siloed, per se, in different offices around the university, and that nobody had ever provided all that information one place to go.
Every year around April 16th, Haga says the number of reports dramatically increase.
Typically the best answer is, where can we find a place that this student fits in, could get resources, and we could help them be successful academically while averting any potential threat that may or may not exist.
Haga says his team keeps up on those who pass through, and most, he says, become success stories.
Mental illness affects college campuses across the nation, and Virginia Tech is no different. For years, the gunman suffered from selective mutism and depression. After the shooting, a national conversation about the state of mental health care in America began. Those conversations led to changes a lot closer to home. Alexis Liana reports.
Spending less and less money on mental health is no way to go. We should be smarter about mental health and probably be investing more in it.
In the days following the tragedy, as more details about the shooter emerged, the public learned about his mental health condition and mental health history. Virginia Tech's Cook Counseling Center began to face a lot of scrutiny once the public learned he had once gone to counseling there. After repeated police reports, police sent him to St. Albans Behavioral Health Center, where they classified him as an outpatient. Once coming back to the university, he had one follow-up appointment at the on-campus counseling center. After that spring of 2006 appointment, he never went back. Director of Cook Counseling Center Christopher Flynn says a follow-up could have been helpful.
I think it would have been helpful, of course, that he come in, and I think everyone agrees he could have used the assistance, but he did not follow up.
Now, when a student comes back after hospitalization, a follow-up is required.
We're at those hearings, we send our case manager there, we follow up with students to make sure they're okay, so that this issue of follow-up that Joe missed does not happen on our campus. The shooting on our campus changed the face of prevention, intervention, crisis response across the United States.
Over the past few years, the university updated their mental health care facilities, making sure people know where to turn when they need help. Something Flynn says may not have been as obvious in 2007.
I think that Cook was relatively understaffed when I started here.
Now, since 2007, the center has more than doubled their amount of psychiatrists and counselors. They've also expanded operations outside of McComas Hall with clinics and drop-in clinics throughout campus. From Cook Counseling Center, Alexis Leana, Tech Tonight.
The need for change not only happened at the university level, but at a state level too. Former Governor Tim Kaine was met with a challenge: prevent such missteps in the handling of mental health from happening again. In the days following, Kaine created the Virginia Tech Review Panel, which published nearly 150 pages of reflection and recommendations in response to how the shooting was handled. In particular, the panel analyzed the life and mental history of the gunman. While Cho received medical attention for the mental health problems he experienced in middle and high school, numerous incidents occurred during his junior year at Virginia Tech.
He kind of walked onto the campus as a free agent with nobody knowing his particular situation, including this youngster has some challenges, but they can be managed if you do the right things. And so the transfer of knowledge, people who were faculty members of his who thought there was something wrong with them, but there was sort of an attitude, well, I can't tell anybody because I'll violate his privacy concerns. They thought there might be privacy laws that got their way. It turned out there weren't, but they thought that there were.
Despite claims from Cook Counseling, the panel found that the center failed to provide the needed support and services to Cho from 2005 into early 2006. His motives were never clear in his writings and videotaped pronouncements, but to Kaine, one thing is clear: this tragedy could have been prevented. The report is dedicated to those lost and injured on April 16th, along with, quote, every student, teacher, and institution of learning.
After the tragedy, the university faced a dilemma: what to do with the buildings where so many lost their lives. Tech Tonight's Denisha Dunaville looks at how their solution is helping create positive change.
Norris Hall, once known for engineering, mechanics, and science, quickly became the site of devastation on campus. With such a terrible event now attached to the building's history, the university began looking for a solution for the space.
We're all aware, painfully aware, of the tragic events that shattered this quiet learning space just 2 years ago.
In the following weeks, security guards stood outside the building, only allowing faculty and students to enter as the university searched for what to do with the space. Virginia Tech asked the public for ideas and formed a committee to make those dreams a reality.
One of the ideas that came up was to transform the space from a place where a heinous act of violence occurred to someplace for social good and to promote peace.
When the second floor of Norris Hall reopened, this time it was the Campus Center for Peace Studies and Violence Prevention.
This is a story about many things. It's a story about courage. It took courage to get past that tragedy. It took courage to reoccupy this building.
Jersey Nowak, director of the Center for Peace Studies and Violence Prevention and husband to one of the victims, helped to rededicate the building nearly 2 years later.
At this point, I would like to pay a tribute to my wife, Jocelyn Couture-Novak, a passionate teacher who was killed right here in this space with her 11 students. Her professional life had always been dedicated to both innovative teaching and providing a safe school environment that fosters creativity.
Now with engineering, mechanics, and science on one side, the building is still home to the Center for Peace Studies. The center hosts symposiums, a minor in peace studies, and lectures and films.
In moments of tragedy, true character is revealed, and Liviu Librescu proved to be a hero, using himself to barricade the door. The professor of engineering, science, and mechanics is forever hailed for his bravery. 10 years after his death, Chabad at Virginia Tech still finds a way to honor his memory. Katie Magnet reports.
It was a tragic end to an already tumultuous life for Librescu, who is described as a passionate intellectual.
Liviu grew up in a ghetto in Romania. He wasn't allowed to leave the ghetto. At a very young age, he was fascinated by birds because he saw the freedom that birds had to fly in, fly out, and he always dreamt of that freedom. And when he grew a little older and he developed this yearning of freedom of movement, and freedom of study, freedom of intellect.
Librescu was also a Holocaust survivor.
If most people would have gone through what he went through, would have every excuse in the world to fail.
Several years after his death, Librescu's wife Marlena approached Chabad at Virginia Tech about honoring him. The campus group provides meals, seater reservations, and other activities for Jewish members of the Hokie community. The center now bears Librescu's name. Zweibel says Librescu's sacrifice, one that saved all but one of his students, is representative of the kind of person Librescu was.
Because of his humble upbringing, because of where he grew up, because of what he went through, I think he saw this idea of saving other people, and he saw the impact that life can have.
During his funeral, Librescu's home country of Romania presented his wife with the nation's highest civilian honor. The Grand Cross of Romania is to honor her husband's, quote, scientific achievements and heroism.
Many people look to religion as a way to deal with the tragic events. Michelle Palanca shows how one organization who lost 3 of their own kept their faith strong during the hard times.
There's a community and a camaraderie that will never be broken.
On April 16th, Campus Crusade for Christ, or Cru at Virginia Tech, lost 3 members. Lisa Highfield, wife of the campus ministry's director, says as soon as they realized what happened, they began to account for their nearly 800 students.
We literally just started making lists of all of our students, which were hundreds of them, to make sure that we knew where each student was and were they in the classroom and who do we think was killed.
As the day went on, the campus ministry discovered 3 of its members, Jarrett Lane, Lauren McCain, and Mary Reed, were in Norris Hall.
Mary and Lauren had actually both just applied to be Bible study leaders. And so I actually had their applications in my hands when I found out that they had been killed. And that day was the day we were supposed to tell them that they were accepted to be Bible study leaders.
Highfield says in the days after, it was faith that kept the community strong.
I will never forget it, and no one in the room will forget it. We were singing so loudly. I've never heard singing so loud in Squires ever, because I could sense in all of our hearts we were just yelling and yearning and asking Jesus to come back now. Like, we can't, this world is so hard. We can't handle how hard life has been for the last 4 days. Jesus, will you still come back?
And through this tragedy, Cru's community grew stronger.
It didn't matter kind of what religion you were or anything. We just knew that we were all Hokies.
10 years after the shooting, Cru dedicates a meeting to share their experience during April tragedy, something Highland says brings them a little closer together.
The effects of the tragedy not only had an impact on Virginia Tech, but also the surrounding Blacksburg community. Tech Tonight's Callie Carson looks at how the community came together to support the university.
As the events of the day began to unfold, the news quickly spread around the community. While students at Virginia Tech dealt with their own emotions throughout the day, the town did too.
10 or 15 people being injured to 20 and then to 25, and it just kept growing that morning. So it was pretty stunning and pretty devastating.
What I saw from the Blacksburg community is immediately was the desire to support, to take care of anybody that could, as well as being taken care of.
The Blacksburg community embraced the school spirit of Ut Prosum as the town came out to show their support and stand united as one.
After that, people really came together as a community in a truly remarkable way.
Filling the streets of Blacksburg, local businesses hung signs of encouragement and support. Town Mayor Ron Rodham says Blacksburg and the Virginia Tech community are now forever linked.
Your community is never the same. You pick up the pieces, you support each other. So I do think that there is a bond between the university and the town that is so strong it can never be broken.
The effects of the tragedy were not only felt around Blacksburg, but also on a national level.
How Virginia's former governor looked to prevent a similar tragedy when we return.